The shadow of the Titan. The galaxy was full of stories, but some stories were not spoken loudly. They were whispered in fear, the kind of whispers that spread across trade routes, in dark cantinas and in the halls of alien rulers. One such whisper carried the name of a ship, a human ship. Merchants said it was larger than a city. Travelers claimed its hull swallowed the starlight. Warriors swore it could erase a fleet with one strike. They called it the Titan-Class Warship, humanity's ultimate weapon. Most dismissed it as rumor, a tale made to scare. Yet deep inside, every alien felt a shadow crawling in their thoughts whenever the name was mentioned. The Alien Council of 7 races met in secret to discuss. They had heard of missing fleets, patrols vanishing near the edges of human space. There were no distress calls, no wreckage, only silence. Silence that spread like a sickness. Some believed pirates were to blame, others feared something worse. "We cannot allow fear to rule," said the council speaker, his voice shaking. "Humans are new to the stars. They cannot have built such a monster." But even he did not sound convinced. To uncover the truth, they chose an envoy fleet, led by a commander named Torvak. His mission was simple: make first peaceful contact with humanity and confirm the truth of these whispers. His fleet of 10 ships set course toward the dead star system, where the human Titan was last seen. As the ships crossed the void, the crew spoke in low voices. Some laughed nervously, others stared at the darkness outside. Torvak stood tall, convincing himself this was just politics. "Humans are young," he said to his officers. "They will welcome peace. They will not risk war against the council." But his words carried no warmth. The dead star system appeared before them, a place of silence. Broken asteroids drifted like bones. Their ships slowed as scanners reached out, and then they saw it. The Titan, it was not rumor, it was real. A ship so massive it dwarfed their entire fleet. Its black hull stretched like a mountain across the stars, its surface scarred with strange glowing lines. Red lights pulsed faintly like the veins of a beast. It did not move, it did not speak, it only waited. The alien crew gasped in terror. Some dropped their instruments, others whispered prayers. Never had they seen a ship like this. It was not just a machine, it felt alive, watching. Torvak clenched his hands, forcing himself to stay calm. "Send the signal," he ordered. "Announce who we are. Announce peace." His voice echoed across the bridge. Messages were sent, repeated again and again, but no reply came, only static filled their channels. It was as if the Titan refused to answer. The silence grew heavier, like a storm waiting to break. Suddenly the Titan moved. Not fast, not aggressive, but slow, deliberate. The way a predator rises when prey enters its den. Massive plates shifted, red lights flared brighter. A low hum filled the void, rattling every alien ship. "Commander," whispered one officer, "it is awakening." Torvak tried to speak, but his throat was dry. His mind screamed to retreat. Yet his pride chained him in place. The Titan's front hull opened slightly, revealing a single enormous red light, like an eye staring directly at them. It burned through the darkness, filling every alien with cold dread. The alien fleet froze, engines humming nervously, crews gripping their consoles with pale hands. No one dared move. One officer whispered, "This is not diplomacy, this is judgment." Torvak felt sweat drip across his face. He wanted to give the retreat order, yet he knew the council demanded peace, demanded proof. But how could he stand against this shadow, this Titan? The warship gave no words, no threats, only its presence. And that presence was enough. Deep inside his heart, Torvak understood the truth. Humanity was not seeking peace. They were showing the galaxy something else, something far worse. The Titan warship had awakened, and every star seemed dimmer in its shadow. Fear over diplomacy. The alien envoy fleet floated like insects before a sleeping beast. The Titan-Class Warship loomed above them, vast and silent, its shadow stretching across broken asteroids. The crew inside the alien ships trembled. None dared breathe too loudly. Commander Torvak forced himself to speak, his voice thin but steady. "Send again all channels, declare peace. Declare we are here for friendship." His words carried into the silence, translated across hundreds of languages. Beams of data raced toward the Titan, but there was no answer, only static. The alien officers shifted nervously. One muttered, "It hears us, but it does not care." Another whispered, "It wants us to fear," and still the Titan watched them, its single red eye glowing brighter, like a star forged from anger. Torvak tried again, louder this time. "We come as diplomats, not enemies. We seek dialogue, not war." His words echoed inside the bridge, but even as he spoke, he felt them crumble. The Titan gave no reply, yet every heart knew the truth. Silence was its answer. Then something changed. The void trembled. A deep hum spread across the alien ships. Consoles flickered, systems dimmed. Their weapons shut down on their own. One by one, their cannons went dark. Shields fell and engines slowed. It was as if invisible chains wrapped around their fleet. Panic erupted, officers shouted, alarms blared, but none of their commands worked. The Titan had reached into their ships, like a hand clutching toys. "This is impossible," cried an engineer. "No technology can override our systems from this distance." But it was happening, and there was nothing they could do. Torvak gripped the command rail tightly, his knuckles pale. "Hold position," he ordered, though his voice cracked. "Do not panic." But the fear was already crawling into every corner. The Titan began to pulse. Red lines across its hull lit up, each pulse sending waves of dread across the fleet. It was not speaking in words, it was speaking in fear, the kind of message no translator could hide. And then the sound came, not words, not language, but a roar, a deep vibration that shook every alien's chest. Consoles shuddered, hulls groaned. It was a sound of warning, a sound older than diplomacy, the sound of a predator before it kills. Many crew covered their ears, some fell to their knees. The alien ships floated helplessly, their weapons dead, their shields gone, and still the Titan remained unmoving, as if saying, "I do not need to fight, you are already mine." Torvak's second officer leaned close, his eyes wide. "Commander, we must retreat." "Before it destroys us," Torvak wanted to agree. Every instinct screamed at him to flee, but his pride chained him still. The Council had ordered peace, ordered strength. He could not return defeated. He could not admit that humans had made them powerless. "No," Torvak whispered, though even he did not believe his own words. "We must hold. We must prove we are not afraid." But his crew were afraid, their faces pale, their eyes locked on the massive shadow that covered them. Suddenly, one of the smaller alien ships in the envoy fleet broke formation, its captain unable to bear the silence. It tried to turn away, its engines flaring weakly, but the Titan moved. A single panel opened on its hull. Glowing with raw power, a beam of crimson light lanced outward, not striking the ship directly but grazing past it, slicing through an asteroid the size of a mountain. The rock disintegrated into dust, scattering across the void like ash. The fleeing alien ship froze. Its engines cut, the crew inside screamed. They had just witnessed power beyond anything they had ever known. The Titan's red eye dimmed slightly as if satisfied, as if reminding them all. It could erase them at any moment, yet it chose not to. Torvak stood frozen, sweat dripping, his heart pounding. This is not diplomacy," he whispered, his voice breaking. "This is a demonstration," and deep in his mind, he finally understood. Humans were not asking for peace. They were not asking for war. They were showing the galaxy something far greater, fear itself. The envoy fleet floated in silence, every alien watching the Titan, praying it would not move again. The warship had spoken, not with words but with terror, and diplomacy had already died. The first strike, the envoy fleet drifted in silence, every alien ship trembling under the invisible weight of the Titan warship, its red eye still glowing, its black hull shimmering with hidden energy. The aliens had tried peace, they had begged with words, but the Titan had answered only with fear. Commander Torvak stood frozen on his bridge, staring at the red light burning across the void. It felt like it was staring into him, into his soul. He had led fleets into battle before. He had stood against pirates and warlords, but never had he felt this helpless. Then it happened. The Titan shifted, massive plates sliding across its hull with a soundless motion. Energy flared deep inside its core. A faint hum spread through the void, and the alien crews began to panic. "Commander, it's charging something," one officer shouted, his voice shaking. "Power levels are beyond our sensors. It's impossible to measure." Torvak gritted his teeth. "Hold position," he ordered, but his voice no longer carried strength. Suddenly the Titan unleashed a beam, a lance of pure energy, not at the envoy fleet, but at a massive asteroid floating nearby. The rock was larger than any alien ship, thick with iron and stone. It had drifted for millions of years untouched. In less than a second it was gone. The beam cut through it like paper, vaporizing it into glowing dust, the fragments scattering across the stars like sparks from a fire. The alien crews gasped, many screamed. Some fell to their knees by the stars, whispered one officer. It destroyed a mountain in space with a single shot. The envoy fleet shook with terror. The message was clear. The Titan had fired not to kill them, but to show them it was a warning, a promise, a taste of what it could do inside council chambers far away. News of the encounter reached alien rulers, their faces pale as they listened. No ship should have that kind of power, one leader said. Humans were supposed to be weak, still learning the stars, not this? Another leader slammed his clawed hand on the table. If this is true, then humanity has deceived us. They built a monster while we watched. But back in the dead star system, there was no council, no debate, only fear. Some alien captains broke, their voices crying over comms. We must retreat. We cannot stand before this beast. Their ships began to turn, engines burning to flee the Titan's shadow. But the Titan saw without warning. Cannons the size of towers rotated on its hull, glowing faintly with restrained power. One blast fired across the void, not to destroy but to cripple. A retreating alien ship was struck with a pulse of energy. Its shields shattered instantly. Its engines went dark, and it spun helplessly into the void. Powerless, alive, but broken. The envoy fleet watched in horror, their comms filled with the screams of the disabled crew, begging for help, begging for mercy. The Titan gave neither. Commander Torvak gripped the rail tightly, his mind racing. He could feel the will of the warship pressing down on him, not like a machine, but like a predator choosing when to strike. Then at last the Titan spoke, not in words of peace, not in the soft tones of diplomacy, but in a voice that shook every hull, a voice deep, calm, and merciless. You came uninvited, it said, each syllable vibrating through their ships, rattling bones, echoing in hearts. Torvak's crew froze, their eyes wide with terror. Some covered their ears. But the voice was not sound, it was inside them. It was in their blood, their thoughts. You brought your weapons to my star. The Titan's voice continued, slow and cold, and you thought peace would protect you. The red light pulsed, glowing brighter, its tone sharper. You thought wrong. Torvak fell to his knees, his pride shattered. His crew staring at him for orders he could no longer give. The envoy fleet was no longer in control. They were prey standing before a hunter. The Titan warship had finally spoken, and its words were the death of diplomacy. Terror spreads across the galaxy. The envoy fleet hung broken and silent before the Titan-Class Warship, its red light fading slowly, its voice still echoing in their minds. You thought wrong? Commander Torvak could barely stand. His crew stared at him with hollow eyes, their weapons useless, their engines weak, their courage gone. One of their ships floated powerless, disabled by a single strike. Yet the Titan had not destroyed them. It had chosen to let them live for now. That choice was more terrifying than death. Far away across the stars, the story spread. Whispers of the Titan raced through merchant lanes, soldier barracks, and council chambers. Fleets that once laughed at human strength now sat in silence, listening to reports of a warship that dwarfed empires on the council world. Leaders gathered again, their faces pale, their voices sharp with fear. Our envoy is still alive, one reported, but they are prisoners of fear. The Titan disabled them without effort. Another slammed his claw against the table. This cannot be. No ship has ever had such power. How did humans build this without us knowing? A third leader, older and wiser, leaned forward, his voice heavy. Do you not see? This was their plan. They were silent, they were patient, and when they rose with a monster no one could face. Panic spread among the leaders. Some demanded an alliance of fleets to strike humans down before they grew stronger. Others whispered of surrender, of isolation, of staying far away from Terran borders. But fear already ruled their hearts back in the dead star system. The envoy crew begged Commander Torvak to retreat. Their voices desperate. Commander, we cannot stay. It is toying with us. If we do not leave now, we will never leave. Torvak's pride cracked like glass. He knew they were right. He knew the council would see his retreat as weakness. But what choice did he have? He could feel the Titan's gaze on him even when it did not move. He finally whispered, "Signal the fleet. Prepare to withdraw quietly, slowly, do not provoke it." The ships began to turn, engines whispering low, every motion careful, like prey backing away from a predator, and still, the Titan did not move. Its red eye dimmed, its cannons silent as if it knew they had already been defeated. As the envoy fleet drifted into hyperspace and fled, Torvak looked back one last time. The Titan still hung in the void, motionless, endless, like a god carved from shadow, and then it was gone, swallowed by distance. When the envoy returned, their report shattered the galaxy. They spoke of the Titan's power, of its silence, of the beam that destroyed a mountain in space, of the single strike that crippled a warship, and of the voice that broke every spirit. Fear spread faster than light. Empires trembled. Soldiers who once mocked humans now whispered their name with dread. Merchants refused to trade near Terran borders. Pirates vanished, unwilling to test their fate. But what terrified the galaxy most was not what the Titan did, But what it did not do, it had not destroyed the envoy. It had not chased them. It had not declared war. It had simply let them leave, and that silence was worse than any battle, because it meant humanity was not desperate to prove power. It meant they were confident, calm, patient, like hunters who knew their prey had nowhere to run. In the halls of alien schools, children whispered the story of the Titan as if it were a ghost tale. In the hearts of rulers, doubt grew. Could they ever match such strength? Commander Torvak sat alone, his eyes hollow, replaying the red glow in his mind. He had led fleets into countless battles, but never had he seen victory without war. Never had he seen diplomacy buried under silence. His officers asked him again and again, "Commander, what are humans planning?" But Torvak had no answer. Only fear, deep in human space. The Titan drifted near a dead sun, its hull dark once more. Its crew silent as they watched. One human officer smiled faintly. "They will tell our story across the stars," he said, his voice calm. "And fear will travel faster than our ships ever could." Another officer asked, "Will they come back with fleets? Will they dare challenge us?" The commander of the Titan stood, his eyes steady. "Let them come," he said. "They will learn what it means to awaken a sleeping giant." The Titan's lights dimmed completely, sinking back into shadow, but across the galaxy, its image burned in every mind. Its name spoken only in whispers. Humanity was no longer a question. Humanity was a shadow stretching across the stars, and every empire wondered if peace had just died forever. Fear becomes respect. The envoy's tale spread like wildfire. Carried by frightened voices and trembling hands, alien rulers who once dismissed humanity now gathered in secret chambers. Every empire felt the same cold truth. Diplomacy was no longer a shield. On trading worlds, merchants refused to cross Terran space. Ships changed routes. Entire sectors went dark out of fear. Pirates vanished, smugglers disappeared, and whispers filled every bar. The humans have unleashed the Titan, and the galaxy will never be the same. Commander Torvak, the envoy leader, stood before the alien council. His body weakened, his eyes hollow. He retold the moment when the Titan spoke. The moment when weapons died. The moment when a mountain in space was erased with one strike. Silence filled the chamber. None dared interrupt. "We came for peace," Torvak said, his voice broken. "But they showed us something beyond peace, beyond war. They showed us control. And they let us live. Not because we earned it, but because they decided it." The council erupted in fear. Some cried for war. Some demanded retreat from human borders. But all knew the truth. No fleet could stand before the Titan. And then came the twist. Hidden transmissions leaked across the stars. Whispers that what the envoy saw was not the only Titan. It was only one among many. Hidden deep in human space. Sleeping giants waiting to rise, the galaxy trembled. If one Titan could erase fleets, what would a dozen do? What would 100? Alien empires scrambled to prepare. Some began building massive weapons. Others sought desperate alliances. But none could erase the image of that single red eye burning through the void. While the galaxy panicked, humanity remained silent. No threats, no declarations, only quiet watchfulness. Their borders sealed, their ships unseen. Their Titans sleeping, and in that silence, fear grew into something else. Respect. Alien rulers whispered among themselves. Perhaps it is better to avoid their wrath. Perhaps it is wiser to honor their strength. Treaties that once ignored humanity suddenly bent toward them. Offers of trade came carefully. Always humble, always cautious. On war worlds where soldiers trained, alien generals spoke new lessons. Never provoke a human fleet, never test the Titan, for they are the predators we cannot cage, Commander Torvak, now a broken man, told young officers, "I have seen many wars. I have seen victory and defeat, but this is different. This is not war. This is dominance without battle." His words spread like fire through academies, but deep inside the Titan warship itself, the truth was known only to its crew. Inside the command hall, humans stood quietly, their eyes calm, their voices steady. One officer said, "They fear us now. The galaxy bends to our silence." Another smiled. "Fear is faster than any fleet. It will build our empire without firing a shot." But the commander of the Titan shook his head, his voice colder, heavier. "Fear alone is not enough. Fear fades, but respect lasts." He looked at the glowing maps of alien space. Countless empires trembling beyond their borders. "We will not rule through destruction. We will rule through restraint. They will respect us because we choose not to destroy them." Silence filled the command hall. The Titan floated like a shadow near a dead sun, its cannons dark. Its eye dimmed, but the power was still there, waiting. The humans knew the galaxy was watching, and they knew every empire whispered the same question. How many Titans slept in the dark? They never answered because mystery was more powerful than truth. In alien schools, young students learned new history written in fear. Their teachers spoke. There was a day diplomacy died, the day the Titan opened its eye, and the galaxy bowed. But among humans, the story was told differently. Children on Earth smiled when they heard it. Their parents whispered proudly, "The galaxy finally knows. Humanity will never kneel again." And in the depths of space, the Titan's commander gave one final order, his voice echoing across the vast halls of the warship. "Let them believe this was our only Titan," he said, his lips curling into a faint smile. "Let them sleep uneasy, because when the day comes, and the stars burn with war, they will discover the truth. Humanity does not have one Titan. Humanity has an armada of shadows." The Titan warship drifted back into silence, its red eye closing, its presence fading into the void. But across the galaxy, every empire felt it. Every world dreamed of it. Every ruler feared it. And from that day forward, the word human was no longer spoken with doubt. It was spoken with respect and with fear.